Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you, as we always have a great show for you. Today's topic is interesting. The title of the show today is going to be, well, what is the title of the show? Wild economy great, unhappy Americans could temper House takeover. I think by now you guys know where I'm going with that. The House takeover is going to be a difficult thing with a strong economy, even though that strong economy is not shared by many. So, folks, that's what we're going to discuss today. But, before I start anything, you know what I ask all of you to do right now? I ask you to share. Those of you who are watching this on Facebook Live, I ask you to share on your page right away. Share on your wall right away. It is very important for us to do that based on the Facebook algorithms. Unless you start sharing immediately, unless you start sharing as you come on, many people who would benefit, many people who would want to see politics done right and the issues that we cover, they wouldn't see these issues that we covered. So I ask you so kindly to please go ahead and share this show. Just share this show as you come on to see it. Look, before I get started, I had a very, I write the show at Starbucks. I do my blogging at Starbucks and so forth all the time. And there is a young man that I see in there quite well. I just recently started coming into Starbucks that I met and heard him speaking to another young man about the state of the country, and he thought he was very unhappy with identity politics. He was very unhappy with what he thought was people not that we are not being Americans, but we are being we are working too hard on identity politics, and we're not doing the things that we should as a country. This was a 19-year-old young man who for some time served in the military as well. And he's a conservative, a right-wing conservative, admittedly so. And of course, all you know, I'm a left-wing liberal. Actually a left-wing progressive, not a left-wing liberal, but a left-wing progressive. And we had a very good conversation. I thought it was important that I speak after hearing him speak to another person and promoting some of the things that I heard him promote. Some of them I agree with. Some of them I think a bit problematic. It was good for us to have a dialogue, and I benefited from his youth. He benefited from my experience. And we had a very good dialogue, and I told him pretty soon I want to have him on Politics Done Right. In other words, young people, I think, are the future of this country. And whether they're conservatives or progressives, I don't really care, as long as they're working towards the well-being of the country altogether, making sure that the middle class and the poor are well, not taken care of, but have equal access to success. I would be very happy. So sometime in the very near future, I'm going to bring on this young man, 19-year-old right-wing conservative young man. And as usual, let me tell you, we love our conservatives, we love our liberals, we love our agnostics, we love our Christians, we love everybody on this show. And as much as the host is a left-wing liberal who believes in progressive policies, I'm always willing to listen. And not only am I always willing to listen, but I'm always willing, most importantly, to learn. And I can say specifically that I have learned from every single ideology that I've entertained. I've learned from every single person that I've been in touch with. I've learned from all the places that I've been. If you ever stop learning, or if you ever believe that you can somehow discount all the other ideologies for yours only. And if you can only give credence to yours only, then you have a problem. You have what's happening in America today. As left-wing as I am, as progressive as I am, one of the most important things that I believe in is dialogue, and not only dialogue, understanding, and not only understanding, but accepting that you don't have to agree with me to be my friend. You don't have to agree with me 100% of the times to be my friend. You don't have to agree with me for me to break bread with you and drink a cup of coffee at all. I believe in what I believe in, and I think I'm fact-based in what I believe in. Other people believe in other things, and some things are black and white, other things are gray, some other things are dependent on what you want. Big government versus small government, that's not wrong or right. Big government versus small government is how do you prefer to organize society for the best well-being of people as you see it. Some people want the other way. I want big government where it is bigger than any corporation and be able to control make sure that corporations can't take advantage of the citizens. And why I always think that is good? I always think that is good because the government is we the people. What we've had over several years or several decades, or people try to isolate government from people. And if you can isolate government from people, suddenly government become that overwhelming entity on the other side that nobody wants. But when you realize that government is you, then you want to make sure that it is you who have the last say. It is you who have ultimate control. Right now, we don't have that. Right now, we have an oligarchy, a plutocracy. We're bordering on fascism right now. But ultimately, if we are successful at politics done right, if we are successful at all these progressive organizations that are trying to instill the ability of or to instill the faith of others that they are the ones in control of government and that government is to do right because only when they make sure it does right, then it'll all fine. Folks, if you're just joining us, I'm asking you, please go ahead and share our program. Share this on your wall. Share this on your Facebook page, Facebook wall. Share this on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, so that we are assured that folks are going to hear a point of view that they want to hear, a point of view that give them pause, whether they're conservative, liberal, progressive, libertarians' beliefs or Ayn Randian beliefs. Give them a chance to hear options. Give them a chance to hear possibilities. Give them a chance to hear what we can be. Give them a chance. Give your audience, give your social network the ability to choose. Give them the ability to be a part of this. Okay, folks, before I go with the specifying the show, I want to remind you that this is a progressive show that needs your support. I don't ask you to support things that I don't support, so I ask you to support Politics Done Right to ensure that we can continue providing you with progressive news, progressive information, progressive policies. We also present you with politicians from all over the country, progressive politicians from all over the countries. We give them a platform they don't normally have. We give them a platform that the mainstream media, the plutocracy-controlled mainstream media, decide who they want in power. But we don't do that. We decide. You decide. As an owner of Politics Done Right, as a subscriber of Politics Done Right, the things that we do, who we talk to, etc., etc., etc. Now, just on Thursday we had Dalia Kaseb. She is a Egyptian American who was running in a Republican conservative district. She wasn't successful this time, but she made an effort. And others respected the effort that she made, and she will do it again. But that is what we do. We bring on folks that normally won't get coverage. We give them coverage. So please, if you support this sort of a real news that will go in depth at times, news that will bring on progressives that otherwise wouldn't get any attention, including bringing on regular progressives. We are going to have Beto O'Rourke on the show pretty soon as well. So and of course we're likely I'll probably have the Democrat that is running for governor in Georgia as well. So bear with us. We're going to be bringing you a whole lot of folks. please visit patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That's patreon.com/politicsdoneright. patreon.com/politicsdoneright. And please also remember, folks, we don't ask you to do what we don't do. I'm a grand supporter. Make sure we give our dollars as well to other progressive rags, other progressive networks, other progressive stations, because we know that while they have Coke on one side, once they have the deep pockets, the plutocracy has the deep pockets because the oligarchy is going to try to ensure that they maintain supremacy. We only have you. But you know what? All votes are equal. One vote, one person. So therefore, your vote here is just as good as anywhere else. What we ask you to do is support Politics Done Right. Go to patreon.com, patreon.com/Politics Done Right. We give as well, Politics Done Right does, to coffeepartyusa.com. You should consider that as well. dailycoast.com. You should consider that as well. opednews.com. democraticunderground.com. kpft.org, the Pacifica Network radio station that we also play Politics Done Right there on Thursdays. We donate to that station as well, and many others, including, I must admit, I also contribute to my local Democratic Party and my local Democratic Party group here in Kingwood. So both in Kingwood and Harris County. So we don't just talk about it, we make sure to support, because unless we support progressive avenues, the progressive avenues go away and we are unable to instruct folk or unable to direct folks or unable to help folks to be or to ensure that we can be what we need to be, that we can get the country where it needs to be. So I ask you again so kindly, please go ahead to patreon.com, patreon.com, and support Politics Done Right. Okay, going to the show now. What is the show's title? The show's title today is Great Economy. This is why most still unhappy and bodes well. Actually, that is not that is a blog of the week. I made a mistake there, but here it is. While economy great, unhappy Americans could temper House takeover. You know, folks, let me tell you. Come on, Paige. What's wrong with you today, Paige? Let's go ahead and rekindle my page here because I somehow lost it. As it comes up, I guess I have to kind of fill some more time. Folks, please do remember that this is your show. Make no mistake about it. When we tell you this is your show, this is exactly what we mean. You decide what's going to be on. You decide what you like us to cover, and we cover it. You decide what topics you want, and those are the topics we want. Oh, let me welcome some of our folks here. Hi, Michael Rudnin, Lawrence Sims, welcome aboard. Great to see you guys out here. Please do remember, folks, those of you that are just coming on, it is imperative that you share this program. It is imperative that you share this program to ensure that we get maximal listenership. Make sure that we get people listening and changing or helping them change their minds, helping them, I don't want to say improve their minds, but that's what we do as well. I get improved every time I speak to you guys as well. Okay, title of the show, Why Economy Great, Unhappy Americans Could Temper House. Subtitle, Progressives, we don't need to get negative but proactive. The turnout issue is fixable if we start telling all voters why we will make their lives better. Okay, folks, Trump and the mainstream media that purportedly does not like him continue to tout a great economy that is but a facade. It is but what? A facade. That said, any great economy can be numerically tremendous, but distributionally horrendous. That is what we have today. We have a great economy. If you are the ones who control capital, the economy is marvelous for you. The economy is great for you. But distributionally, only a few people are the ones who get most of the spoils. Important for you to know. Yes, Michael Rudnin, I know who Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is. In fact, I interviewed her at Netroots Nation I think it was last year, actually. I think I interviewed her. So if you put her name in, if you go ahead and do a Google scan with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and EgbertoWillies.com. You'd see the interview that I did with her on at Netroots. She is an excellent speaker, progressive, and she is likely to win her race if progressives go out there and vote. She'll be knocking out a very old timer. I don't remember his name right now. Anyway, as I mentioned before, that said, any great economy can be numerically tremendous, but distributionally horrendous, which is what we have today. That is the state of the American economy, and Americans know it. When solutions are known, irrational blaming and prejudice can take hold. And that's what's occurring right now. Republicans are ready to play all those cards. The American immigration fiasco is just one example. Republicans are betting that white fear and societal hate will unleash their innermost demons. The question is, will Americans give them the rope to corral citizens or to hang these evil politicians? One of the reasons I engage a whole lot with people that are not only progressive, I engage with liberals, progressives, conservatives, etc., is because I am not going to allow myself to fall into that game. I love people. I'm a humanist. My religion, I'm a humanist. In other words, I don't care if you are Christian, atheist, or whatever. You're a human being. You're one of me. Yeah, I support you. I don't care whatever the case is. You're a human being. I support policies that support you to make your life better. That's what I'm for. It may not be exactly the way you want to do it, but if you have a better way, have at it. If I think it's a better way, I'll promote it. But that is where we have got to go. Anyhow, do you know, folks? Do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay. Weekly blog post. Type in title: Great Economy. This is why most still unhappy and bodes poorly for blue wave. Okay. The mainstream media is hyperventilating about a great economy. However, most Americans are not feeling it. The notion of a good economy has two effects on unhappy voters that messaging can steer. So again, the voters are unhappy. They're not getting what they think is due theirs. The problem about it is, who is going to have the correct messaging? Who is going to have the truth to explain to these people exactly what is happening, why it is that a great economy isn't all that's great to them? That is your job. That is our job as progressives who are being informed. It is our jobs to let those folks know why. And that's what we're going to do. We must explore that and how it could affect the impending blue wave, ripple, or outright democratic embarrassment. So we're either going to have a blue wave, a ripple, or an outright democratic embarrassment. Which will it be? It will be one of those three. We were expecting it. We are poised based on the economy, based on the level of the president poll numbers. We are poised for a blue wave. We are doing everything to convert that blue wave into a ripple. But worst case scenario, given help from a lot of externals, we could actually see a democratic embarrassment. And that is what we have to fight against. And that is what we have to message for. That is what we have to do. So here we go, folks. If you're just joining us, folks, please go ahead and share this on your wall right away. This video, this live cast, please share it on your wall. If you're listening in on Blog Talk Radio or Pacifica Network, co-moderated, please go ahead and share. Share this on Twitter, share this on Tumblr, share this everywhere. That is how we get our message out. That is how we ensure that this message continues. Continuing with the blog of the week. A great economy can be numerically tremendous, but distributionally horrendous. That is the state of the American economy, and Americans know it. When solutions are unknown, guess what happens? Irrational blaming and prejudice can take hold, and that's where we're at. You see, I don't sit back and think a whole lot about how racist Trump is. I don't sit back and think about how racist some of his followers are. Because what I look at these folks are victims, right? A lot of the folks that are the most racist, a lot of the folks that are the most homophobic, and all these other isms that they present themselves with, they are mostly scared. They're mostly they mostly feel they're losing something they never had. And notice what I said, they never had. You know, we've spoken a whole lot before on privilege, specifically white privilege. It is interesting, right? Just a pigmentation give you a certain privilege, but interestingly now, what folks are finding out that is the privilege doesn't carry as much cash as it once did. It doesn't carry, and the reason why, it was never ever about giving you privilege. It was always about giving you the impression that you had privilege, so that a few fat cats at the top could screw you. In other words, a few fat cats at the top made you believe you had some sort of a privilege over those others. And that way, when you are losing, and while they are milking you blind, while they are extracting out of you, they could say, it's not me doing it, it's because of those others. That's the whole game. The whole game was not that you have privilege. It was give you the impression of having privilege. And in so doing, what it does is it makes you think of what you are not. It makes you hate those who you should not. It makes you forget who's really at fault. It makes you forget that you're unhappy because you are not partaking of this great economy. So, let us remember the following about this great economy. Let's look at the facts. Fact number 1, job growth was slower in Trump's first full year than it has been at any time since 2011. Fact number 2, número 2, the stock market grew nearly continuously under Obama, cumulative by more than 47%, and its growth under Trump seems to have settled in at around 16%, with very high volatility, as you might expect from his ADHD economic policy. Fact number 3, annual GDP growth is about the same under Trump as it was under Obama. Fact number 4, Trump's insane tax cut will add at least $1.5 trillion to our debt. I want to stop there for a second. Anytime we talk about debt, a lot of progressive economists, which they're correct, would tell you that debt in a lot of ways don't matter. We would love to do deficit spending for a whole lot of things if and only if that deficit spending was paying for your education, deficit spending was paying for roads and bridges and all these other things. Why is that kind of deficit spending okay? Because you are building capital, right? You're building wealth. You're building capital in infrastructure. You're building capital in knowledge. But the kind of tax cuts and deficit spending to provide those tax cuts that the Trump administration did, what it did is it did do that. It made a few people richer, but it didn't invest in things that have value, in things that are going to stay. So therefore, that tax cut was given and it's gone. That tax cut was given to those wealthy people. All the benefits of that have already been effected. Forget about any other real benefit that's going to come out of said tax cut that doesn't build the infrastructure, said tax cut that doesn't educate people. And worse of that, what that tax cut did, and it's important that you understand that, is it's pilled for you 3 times. Let me explain that because it's very important. Número 1, the tax cut reduced the amount of taxes that the wealthy would have normally paid into our coffers. As you get wealthier, you need to provide more taxes, actually, because you're a bigger burden to society anyway. So it is justified to have a progressive tax scheme, tax cut. Number two, they got a big tax cut. Now that is money denied to our coffers. The other monies that they got is who owns a lot of those stocks that had a whole lot of profits held overseas? Wealthy people. Trump allowed them to bring that cash back into America, paying very little taxes on that cash. So that's the second way they got the money without having to add more money to our coffers. So that's number two, another way that they earn money. The third way is the most obscene of them all, because we physically, all of us, are going to pay for it. Remember I said, the monies they brought back into the country that they did not pay, that they didn't pay the amount of taxes they should have paid on, the tax cut that they got, these are monies not in the coffers, which means we now run big deficits. How do we fund those deficits? We go to those same rich people that we actually gave these tax cuts to and say, you remember the money that we gave you in that tax cut? Could we borrow it back from you? And you know, when we borrow that money back from you, we are going to pay you interest. Okay. So you got the tax cut. You got to bring your money back in from overseas without paying the right amount of taxes on it. And now, because to do that, we had to deficit spend. We now ask to borrow that money back from you. And now we have to pay interest to you, the person we gave tax cuts to. We are going to pay interest to you going forward for 30 years or more. That is how it works. You always get screwed. Whether you're a Trumpist, a right-wing person who works for Trump, who supports Trump, whether you're a Hillary Clinton supporter, it doesn't matter who you are as a middle-class or poor American. The system is rigged against you by both parties, actually. Just one rigged it more against you. So a lot of times we choose the better of two evils. But it is rigged against you, and until we get people who really care about you in office, which is why we have a Politics Done Right to introduce you to what it is that we need to all know, and also to introduce you to politicians and candidates that will really support you. Until we do that, until we get that done, what do you think is the case? So that is where we're at, folks. That is where we're at. So that's why I expanded on Trump's insane tax cut will add at least $1.5 trillion to the debt. And of that $1.5 trillion, we are going to borrow that money back from the people who we gave the tax cuts to. And then we're going to pay them for the honor of borrowing the money we gave back to them. Man, isn't it great to be wealthy? Because you keep extracting it all back from people. All right. Trump's trade war will raise prices for consumers and cut jobs in the future, and it's causing volatility now. Yeah, you raise the prices on aluminum. Your car costs more. Where does that money go to from the extra costs? Oh, wait a minute. It goes to the wealthy aluminum smelter, right? The person who makes the aluminum. So we increase the cost of the car to transfer more money to that wealthy guy who owns, or the wealthy stockholders who own the aluminum company. So there again, the trade war that they claim would create more jobs in America was really just designed to put some more money into the pockets of a few. The mainstream media don't explain that. They don't explain it that way, right? Oh, the prices are going to go up. It's going to be a tax on Americans. Yes, it's going to be a tax on Americans. But that tax on Americans do not go to Americans. It goes some to the Treasury, but the spoils of the higher cost goes to the aluminum companies who now sell aluminum or steel at a much higher price. Folks, every move that the Trump administration has made has screwed his base. It has screwed you. That is why I engage my Trump brothers and sisters. That is why I engage my libertarian brothers and sisters. That's why I engage my Ayn Randian brothers and sisters. Because what happens is they listen to Fox, they listen to MSNBC, they listen to CNN, but none of this is placed or dictated or explained in a manner to show them that it is they who end up paying. But it's not only that. It's also to make them it's to be honest. It is not only the Republicans that screw them, folks. It is a political system made up of the two establishments that do it. There's one of these establishments that's controllable, and that's the Democratic Party, and that's where progressives are making their entry. That is why it is going to be so important for you to go out there and vote the most progressive candidates in, to help all your brothers and sisters, whether they be progressives, whether they be conservatives or whatever. You see, the policies that I want aren't policies to help the progressive movement. They're policies to help Americans. A lot of folks on the other side, they want to have policies that hurt you here or that stops that or stops the other. That's not what progressivism is all about. Progressivism is all about. I want to help every single American citizen, bar none, including the rich one. Because if we as progressives don't get our policies, in the long run, the rich folks are going to have the pitchforks after them. Because you take away enough from enough people, and in the long run, they will rebel. Americans are no different than Panamanians, or no different than Jamaicans, or no different than Costa Ricans, or no different than Nicaraguenses, or no different than any other country in the world. You hurt people when they have nothing else to lose, they react, and they react virtually the same. We're humans. We're humans. And fact number 6, the already unconscionable income and wealth disparity our economy has seen since Reagan is getting worse as Trump's tax cuts go disproportionately to the ultra rich and corporations. We got to remember that, folks. Both the Republican Party and the establishment wing of the Democratic Party continue to support policies that benefit the plutocracy, ensuring favorable treatment from both regulations and taxes. There is no reason why we tax investment income at a lower rate than the working person's income. The worker risks limb and life, while the investor risks capital. In our system, capital has more value than humanity. Anyhow, John Atchison says it best. He said the following: both parties endorse policies centered on empowering industrialists and the financial community, often at the expense of workers, under the misguided notion that what's good for business is good for America. Republicans, with their supply side trickle-down tax cuts for the rich con, makes no bones about this. Democrats are a little less direct. They back innovators and entrepreneurs or investments in advanced manufacturing. But either way, business interests get represented and the people's do not. The aim of both parties is to fill their campaign coffers with money from the uber rich and corporations. Isn't that what I've said before? Isn't that what I've preached before? And we have to understand that. When we understand that, we can no longer hate or can no longer just abhor our brothers and sisters that are misled. It is our duty then to bring them into the fold. And it's not going to happen overnight. You just have to work at it. You have to be patient. You have to plant those seeds. And a seed doesn't grow overnight. That is what we got to do. So, it's no wonder that the majority of folks simultaneously believe the economy is doing well, but they are getting screwed. They are, plain and simple. This is an extremely dangerous situation politically. On the one hand, Trump is getting credit for managing the economy well. On the other, most people have reached the "we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore" stage or they've gone past it to apathy. But either way, they know the system's rigged and both parties have been guilty of a giant giveaway to the oligarchy. Remember that. Both parties have given it to the oligarchy. But we have a solution. Two groups are coalescing around this reality. One group wants to change the system, the other simply wants to blow it up. Many of those who want to change the system understand that the current fat cat economy is largely a result of long-standing policies supported by whom? Both parties. Don't forget it was Bill Clinton who passed Glass-Steagall. Glass-Steagall was that particular bill, or repealed Glass-Steagall, was that particular act that forced banking sector to divide into the risk portion, meaning the one that makes investments, etc., and the banking portion. Clinton blew that away. One could easily surmise that played a major role in the crash of 2008 because it allowed these guys to risk your money in the investment and speculative realm. So, when we're putting blame around, we need to put the blame around all over. That is also how you get credibility. I'm a partisan. I'm a Democrat by party. But I am honest. And if my party screws up, I say it. There are a few Republicans that if their party screw up, they say it as well. I want it to be where we can be honest about all of this. I want it to be where the only major differences between the parties are bigger government and good social programs for the Democrats, and lesser government and a little less social programs for the Republicans, and we can fight about where we end up. But all the other things that have been placed inside of these wars have damaged Americans. It hadn't damaged any of the parties. They continue to get money. And you know what? The rich fat cats, they give to both parties. That's why if you notice a lot of the policies are not all that different. We have to understand these concepts, folks. We must. They use so many of those who want to change the system understand that the current fat cat economy is largely a result of long-standing policies supported by both parties. They used to be Democrats, but now they're more interested in finding candidates who will advocate for affordable health care, especially single payer, who will get money out of politics, stand up to industry, especially the gun lobby, pharmaceuticals, and Wall Street big banks. And finally, they want a fair tax code that provides for the social safety net, not merely underwriting more corporate largesse and greater income inequality. If they're not offered such candidates, many will choose to stay home on election day. To those I tell you, do not. Many of you did that in 2018, or 2018, or what am I saying, 2016. It was not successful. 2016, folks, we can't do that. 2018, we have got to get out there and vote. 2018, we have got to start making the change. It's going to take us quite a few years to recover from the damage Trump was able to do just in his first year. Not to speak about the damage he's doing now in his second year. It's going to take us likely a decade to recover from the damage this guy is doing, not only to the economy, but to the world stage. I mean, it is just, you know, it's easy to knock something down. It is hard as hell to build it back. Repeating, it is very, very easy to knock stuff down. It is extraordinarily difficult to build it. Trump is very good at knocking the crap out of stuff. He's very good at talking big. He's very good at destroying. But what has he built? What has he built for middle class America? What has he built for poor America? What has he done to make your personal economy better? What has he done to make sure you have more money in your pocket so that you can send your kid to college? What has he done to save the lives of all those people that are fighting the good fight in the different wars around the world? What has he done to really start reducing nuclear weapons around the world? What has he done? Showing off in a doesn't make the cut. Going out with Kim Jong-un without a policy or without coming out with concrete things as far as what you do is not doing anything. And people will say, well, at least he's talking. Those nuclear bombs are no longer targeted at us. Kim got exactly what he wanted. He knows a country with a working nuclear bomb will never be attacked by the United States of America. I can't blame the guy. The only country that has ever used the atomic bomb is America, who then many times is America to tell any country in the world, we don't want you to use the bomb, or we don't want you to have the bomb. Look, I think everybody should be without the bomb, but that's for another show. Continuing with the blog of the week. The Democratic Party did reasonably well in California, but the turnout was less than expected. What is a problem is the rising idea of a blue wave that's sweeping social media and possibly the conference rooms at the Democratic National Committee. It's starting to feel a lot like 2016. Y'all remember what happened in 2016, right? We were supposed to have a landslide. Progressives were going to do well. Democrats are going to do well. What happened? Aside from overconfidence again, leading to fatal mistakes, there is a very real worrying trend. Voter turnout in California primary was low, and this is supposed to be a safe democratic state despite pockets of conservatism in the wealthy suburbs. Voter turnout was 33.9% statewide. As of this writing, a few points above the last midterm primary in 2014. That's the truth. But why is turnout so low anyway, especially now when politics is ever present in many aspects of American life? Why isn't the Democratic message catching fire? What is the Democratic message anyway? There was a moment back in July 2017 when Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat of New York, and Representative Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, presented the official party message. And you know what it was? A better deal. A better deal. That is a Democratic message this year. A better deal. Man, whenever I give monies to the Democratic Party, whenever I give money to certain institutions, my biggest question is, where is that money going? And it hurts me to say that much of that money is going to elitist analysts, elitist consultants who probably have never been in a ghetto, who probably have never been in a barrio, who probably have never been to Appalachia. Notice my stereotypes. Black, Latinos, whites, all of them in those cases on the lower end of the economic spectrum. They don't know. They probably don't have an idea of those people that we need our economy to support as well. They probably haven't got a clue. But those consultants come out and take the money we donate to the Democratic Party and also the Republican Party and all these other places. They go out there, and they come up with these cheesy, silly, tested ideas that make absolutely no sense. A better deal? Everybody wants to get a better deal. Every party is going to tell you they get a better deal. That's not what people want to hear. They want to hear what the hell is the better deal in something that fits on a bumper sticker. Come on, folks. Looking beyond the fact that the message bears all the bland hallmarks of overpaid consultants and focus groups, there's something else wrong with what the Democratic Party is doing. Nationalizing the midterms obscures local issues that ordinarily would resonate but instead lead to a series of fait accompli elections to save seats. The Cook Political Report estimates that only 25 out of 435 seats in Congress are in the toss-up category this year, while 336 seats are considered a solid lock for one party or the other. In presidential elections, the race invariably gets decided by a handful of districts in 3 or 4 swing states, regardless of how the majority of the population votes. That's what makes a somewhat lackluster turnout in California more worrisome. We need to flip seats in California if we want to get a progressive Congress or a somewhat progressive Congress. Okay? That's what we have to do. Welcome aboard, Ferrer Mock. Welcome aboard, Glenn Ford. Now, given our current condition, the following is true. The Democratic Party seems to think backing austerity and the status quo is a good campaign strategy. Look for a lower turnout in the midterms that we've seen for the off-year elections, which featured candidates who held left of center positions. And with lower turnouts, Democratic gains are likely to be disappointing. Which brings us to the rage-fueled group who want to blow up the system, mostly whites, whose anger is amplified by the sense that they are losing their privileged place in society. A privileged place they only had in name only. Yes, they could get better service if relative to a person of color or whatever, but at the same time, the same plutocracy that's been pilfering the people of color, they're pilfering you too. And when they've extracted all they can out of the people of color, the ones that don't have the support or the ones that don't have as much privilege, what do you think happened? They're coming for you, and it's you they're coming for now. Folks, we're in this boat together. Let's unite the barrios, the ghettos, and Appalachia. We come together, all of us. It's their biggest fear. It is their biggest fear that we realize we have the Trumpist, and the left-wing liberal have more in common than they have not. But you know what? They can't allow you to see that. Because if you see that, it's the end of the extractive policies. It's the end of the plutocracy taken away from you. And it's the beginning of us taking back. I didn't say that it's time for us. At that point, we just grow from where we're at, from ground where we are at. When we take over, we recover. It's not only about taking over politics. It's about taking over what was stolen. And people say, well, they followed the law. Of course they followed the law that they wrote. They wrote the laws to support themselves. They paid politicians off to write the laws in a manner that took your money. It's still theft. It is still theft. Don't let people misguide you. Don't let people not let you understand the system. The system is for those who vote. The system is for those who control the politicians that they're supposed to control. It's not like, oh, it's a bad thing to control politicians. No. We, the people, should be controlling the politicians. It's for representative government. Anyhow, so I want to repeat that paragraph, and then I'll go to the questions. Which brings us to the rage-filled group who want to blow up the system, mostly whites, whose anger is amplified by the sense that they are losing their privileged place in society. These people will show up at the polls. They will vote, and they will vote for Trump and for the Republican Party. Forget the polls, which has been stoking the fires of hate, resentment, and bigotry for decades now. Some of these voters may even realize that Trump and his Republican enablers are essentially throwing a Molotov cocktail into the concept of governance. But that's exactly why they like him. History tells us it is out of such cloth that despots are spawned and tyranny triumphs. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Progressives, we don't need to get negative, but proactive. We don't need to get negative, just proactive. The turnout issue is fixable if we start telling all voters, Trump voters, Clinton voters, Sanders voters, why we will make their lives better. We are going to have to tell them why voting this time around progressive is going to make their lives better. Let's tell them. Let's articulate it. It is crucial that those who think the blue wave is a sure thing to do the work to make it a reality, including letting Americans know that progressive activists will be forcing the hand of every politician to ensure middle-class centric and poor-centric policies. In other words, what I'm saying, a lot of the people that you would normally vote for, or a lot of people that are there, hold your nose and vote this time. Hold your nose. Progressives, hold your nose. Let me tell you why. Because we're not going to repeat what we did with Obama. With Obama, we elected Obama and then we went to sleep. Obama is going to be this good old savior. And what we realize is that there's a difference between a president and the presidency. Obama had a good heart. The presidency was still controlled by the plutocracy. And as such, he didn't get much of what he wanted to attain, and no progressive will unless we keep the progressive pressure on. Folks, telephone number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. One more time, 646-716-5812. And what I'm going to do right now to my beautiful listeners is to go to the page and start getting your responses and getting your comments. Very important. You are the most important part of the show. Actually, you are the most important thing on this show. Don't forget, this show belongs to you. You want to change things, you want to say things, please remember to do so. Because like I will continue to say, the difference between this show as well, other than telling you these things from a point of view that isn't said on mainstream media, the other point of the view is to have bidirectional communication with the person that is providing this news. And if you think some of it is hogwash, that you get a chance to come in and interject. And I give you the platform. And the reason I give you the platform, even if I disagree with you, it's called democracy. And guess what? I think I'm right. I think the numbers back me up. But suppose you were to find out something that was a gotcha for me. You'd be surprised how quickly I put you on air and how quickly I put out my mea culpa. And the reason why is that's the way you build credibility. That is the way you ensure that people trust that they can make a difference. And then not only that, that also remove that air or that aura of anybody being infallible. We are all fallible. We don't all have the answers. I can learn from everybody. I can learn from anybody. I can even learn from a toddler, which I have before. It is when you open your mind to think in this manner that you can make progress on your own first and then help others to sort of adapt some of that to make progress going forward. Okay, let's go to speak. Edward for Sean. Let's see what you had to, well, let me go ahead and make sure that I have this stuff sorted correctly. Folks, I always have problems with this stuff, but not this time. All right, let's go ahead and start reading some of this stuff. Let's go, I think from the bottom is the beginning. All right, we had Father's Day Massacre Art All Night video. Okay, thank you for putting that up there for people to see. Shame again, we had another gun shooting. Yesterday there was a bad mass shooting. You're absolutely correct, and I think we reported on that on some of the pages. Run, Nick, brother, you have a lot more patience than I do. Anytime I talk to someone with a different political bend, the conversation evolves into trolling behaviors. Actually having a nice conversation where both parties truly listen and read what the other offers from reputable sources is such a rarity. Yes, it is. And what I'm trying to do is lead by example. In other words, you guys all know I'm a left-wing liberal. I enjoy speaking to Mike Sisek, who is a right-wing Republican. I enjoy listening and talking to Michael Ladeau, who is a right-wing Republican. And I'll be honest with you. Michael Sisek I've called into the show before, and I've learned a few things off of some of the things that he's said. Don't ever close your mind, brothers and sisters. Never do. Because you know what? Learning is a everlasting thing. Learning is what you do all of the times. And anytime you stop learning, you're dead. You're mentally or intellectually dead. I don't ever intend to get there. I will always, always make sure to make sure to go ahead and be a part of learning. Marco Egberto, I hope you ask Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to come on the show. New York election coming on the 26th. Thank you for saying that. I'll reach out to her. I have her information, and like I said, I actually interviewed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez last Netroots Nation. That would have been July of last year, I believe. Michael D. Newton, hello, my dear friend. Michael Rudden again, predicting an economic crash. You are not alone. Yes, I'm predicting an economic crash, and I don't know how soon. Hi, Egberto. Alexis from NJ here. Hey, Alexis Betancourt. ¿Cómo estás? How are you doing, my friend? All right, Michael Redden found the video. She's going against Joe Crowley. Joe Crowley is the guy. You're absolutely right. And her interview the debate that they had, I didn't see the debate. I didn't have time to sit down and watch it. I heard she tore him up. You know, all these pseudo-progressives, I heard she tore him up. Good for her. When I met her, she is a wonderful young woman. She was actually doing some work at the pipeline. She was at the pipeline protest that they had out there. And then she came back to New York and she ran for the position. I think Trump is coasting on the tail end of Obama's economy. You're absolutely correct. And it didn't have to be the tail end of the Obama economy. The truth of the matter is you don't have to have crashes and burns, right? The reason you have crashes and burns is that you have these big highs, is if you allow these big highs to come down from the big highs, you usually get big lows. You can actually moderate things, but the problem is that we have some elitists who are the ones who try to run the economy, and they only care about today. They don't look at things long term. We don't have to have crashes, folks. In the economy that I'm proposing, there is never a crash. Ever. There never needs to be a crash. There's always something to do. Mike Cisak, lame. I wonder what I said that is lame to my brother Cisak, but that's all right, brother Cisak. I'm sure you'll tell me sometime. Michael Rudden, the slogan didn't play well in 2016. No, it didn't. Glenn Ford, hello. Hi, Glenn Ford. Fairly mock, preach Eve. I'm trying my best, and I hope you share. Please do, folks. Remember to share. That's so important. Michael Rudden, jobs guarantee, infrastructure investment, living wages, universal health care, free education, low pollution. Absolutely correct. And you remember that I wrote a blog that says this is the 5 things Democrats should have at the tip of your tongues. And whenever they say, what are you going to do for me? You immediately say, this is what we are going to do for you. We are going to get it passed. You elect us, and we are going to get this. We are going to recover from that which was stolen from you. People say, oh, it's going to crash the economy. You know how you stop an economic crash? Here's what. In Venezuela and all these other places, right? When the government try to assert itself, we the people try to assert ourselves, the thing is, oh, you're becoming a socialist. They can call it whatever the hell they want to call it. And then what the capitalists then do is they crash the economy. And then they say, you see what socialism does? Or you see what democratic socialism does? What capitalists do. Remember, capitalism is just a form of an economy. Nothing else. It's turned into an ideology now. What they do is they crash an economy to force people into believing that there is no other way. That is what we have to stop. Any government that has the balls to say, okay, you decide to stop production because we put a tax on, we'll nationalize your company. If you decide, after we the people say, corporations who are persons themselves, corporations, look up personhood, corporations who are persons who should be governed by government as well. If we decide as a society that corporations are supposed to be taxed at XYZ, and in spite, these guys stop production, reduce production, or do whatever it takes to try to change people by screwing the economy, nationalize it, and keep it running. That is how you solve the problem. When people say, oh, if you try to do that, they're going to crash the economy. What I say to do, don't crash the economy. No. You try to crash the economy, we take your company. Period. That's it. It's a bidirectional thing. A society cannot exist without business. Business cannot exist without society. So no one should have preeminence. Let's remember that, folks. Michael Rudman reminds me of Jimmy Dore. Me? Wow, I can't believe you said that. I'm so different than Jimmy Dore. Sometimes Jimmy Dore scares me. No, I'm kidding. I love Jimmy Dore. I don't have his, I think sometimes he go a little bit overboard, but, you know, I imagine some people think I go overboard. Some people think I go underboard. But anyhow, we're at the end of the show, folks. Thank you so kindly for all those messages that you put out there. Please remember to share this show. It's so important that you share this show. It is so important that people understand what we're doing here. It's so important that people know that what we're doing is expanding on knowledge, expanding on what you thought you knew. And what we do is give you the real perspective. And our perspective can be backed not only by common sense, but that which is written, that which can be researched. Everything that I said here today, don't take it at face value at all. Please, please, please. If I tell you something, you can accept it at face value, but research it. Research it. If you accept it at face value, don't do that. Just research it. And say, oh, Egberto is right. Maybe later on, you'll when you build up more trust, not everything would you have to go fact checked right away. But I want to build trust with you. I want to build trust with you to make sure that you understand that what we're doing here is real. Not only is what we're doing real, but it's something that if we intend for this society to continue, this is something that we must do. This is something we have got to do. We have to start from the young. We have to educate the young. The young right now, there are a lot of people trying to get to the heads of the young people, and there are so many of them polluting the heads of young people. We have to help our young brothers and sisters. We have to make sure that they don't form a part of the army that is screwing themselves. We have to make sure that those young people can go to college again and not be hurt, not be told the lies that is somehow the university's fault completely why they can't afford it. Instead, it is our fault, the ones who pay taxes, who decide we wanted a little tax break, and we screw our future by denying our young millennials or young people or 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old a good education because we don't want to pay the taxes that were paid by our parents to support us. Now we don't want to do it for them. Folks, if you believe in a progressive movement, or not, but you believe that this word needs to get out, if you know, or you should know, that you're not getting this on mainstream media, you should know that you control this show. You should know all of this. Please support us at patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. patreon.com/politics done right. We are here for you. We will be here for you. We will continue to make sure nobody forgets the poor. Nobody forgets the middle class. Nobody forget the injured. No one forget the uninsured. We are here for everybody. Folks, this is Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, and you know what I'm going to say now. I am out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.